This is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And my interviewee today, my guest today, is a licensed board-certified doctor of naturopathic medicine in the state of New Hampshire in the USA. She received a doctorate from Bastyr University in Seattle, an accredited university in natural health sciences. She's done comprehensive training in healthcare at the Bastyr Center for Natural Health and with doctors throughout the Northeast and Northwest of America. She believes that nutrition and lifestyle must work together to overcome illness and maintain health. And that's certainly a belief that I have too. So it's a big welcome. Can't wait to talk to Dr. Holly Donahue. Hi, Holly. How are you doing today?
Hi, Pat. I'm doing great, and I am so honored to be here today. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're so welcome. I can't wait to find out more about you and hear more about your journey. So, first off, did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or was this something that you grew into?
I absolutely love that question because my journey actually began in the apparel industry, and I was actually going to open an apparel company. And instead, I got into healthcare. And the entrepreneurial journey started back from my grandfather on my maternal side. And my dad was an entrepreneur as well of over 50 years in home manufacturing. So I learned and heard so much of his journey growing up. And then once all of us children grew up, I have myself and two other sisters, and I'm the youngest. My mom actually went out and was an entrepreneur and opened her own mental health therapy clinic. So it was just somewhat natural for me to just dive into the entrepreneurial journey. And the thing I love most about it, Pat, is that I get to do my own schedule with my three businesses. And that's what's amazing. Lots of hard work, but I love every single minute of it.
So I want to go back more to that journey. So did you start off in the apparel clothing industry? Is that what your first job was around?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off in selling fabrics. I moved from northern New Hampshire. I live 50 miles outside of Boston, and I moved to Los Angeles. And I began learning sales techniques and selling in Los Angeles. And I was selling high-level fabrics to really large corporate companies that everybody would know the name of, like Bebe and like Gap and BCBG back in the time. And these are all great big American companies, Lucky Brand. Then I moved in with selling and working with companies, Sigrid Olsen, Segret's, Liz Claiborne. I was working in the manufacturing and product development arena and always had a passion for design. And as I climbed the corporate ladder, everyone kept saying to me, like, you are so great around your health, like taking care of yourself looks so easy and such a gift. And of course, you know, you blow it off. You don't really know what your gifts are, right? And you're just like, yeah, but I love what I do. And I love the creative aspect of the design work and the development and working with factories overseas and doing all the international traveling, you know, in my 20s. And so I just continued on that journey. And many of you will remember 9/11 here in the US. I was laid off 2 weeks after that. And I thought, oh my goodness, God, I hear you. Like, you want me to take another journey. And my journey just naturally fell into natural medicine and working with high performers and teaching them, like, you have to have health in order to climb and enjoy what you're doing. Because if you don't have health and you're on burnout like I was and just working 60, 70 hours a week for another corporation, it just didn't work for me. So I'm here now teaching naturopathic medicine to all of my patients. And it's just such a passion of mine. And I'm so grateful that I can use all the pieces I learned in corporate, the sales that I learned in a smaller company in Los Angeles, and now growing into my companies now that I have. So it's just been a pleasure and an honor to work with these patients.
Isn't it funny how other people see stuff in us? Because, you know, I was working in public service for over 30 years, doing a very technical job and a managerial job. And then when I said that I was taking early retirement and I was going to go off and retrain, other people said to me, what are you going to do, Pat? Are you going to start an ashram or something in complementary health? And I was like, yeah, I am actually. How did you know? And they're like, oh, it was always going to happen, you know? And you think, well, what did they see that every day when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see? So I'm really interested in what were the skills that you brought with you from corporate into what you were then doing in setting up your business in natural health?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a manager in a lot of those companies. So one of the biggest skill sets that just worked so well for me, of course, people are like, wow, she runs 3 businesses and owns 2. The biggest skill set for me was organization, determination, drive, and the ability to know in my heart that I can do this. Because when you're an entrepreneur, as all of you know, like it has to come within the heartbeat of who you are, and you really have to love what you do. And I wake up every morning and I'm just so grateful for that. So the organization was key. Selling is key. I'm not afraid to sell because, of course, if we have all these beautiful products and we're offering them whatever our journey is, if we step back and we're scared of somebody saying no to us and we take that personally and then we kind of go into our shell, like that's not going to allow us to grow as an individual and as a company. The other thing that really like was so key for me is also understanding and not being afraid of technology back in the day. And of course, as I started to step over through my career, that's when like laptops started to come my way. Prior to that, it was pagers, then it was cell phones, and then laptops. Like now, like I know how important it is to have my email completely organized. So in the apparel industry, there were some days I got over 500 emails. If I didn't have that organization skill set with my emails and setting up folders, like I was completely overwhelmed. So, and the other piece is managing my time and knowing like what's important for that day to actually complete. Because as an entrepreneur, we can get up, we can make our own schedule, but if we don't have a focus of like who needs me to be on task today, whether it's my patients or I'm creating a program for my Simple Health website, then you know the day can get by and you'll be like, what just happened to today? So those are like my major skill sets. And I think the other thing also that I want to put in there is communication and connection. Being able to communicate and connect like Pat and I are right now, and not being afraid of that. Just really knowing who you are and connecting and reaching out. And there's so many beautiful people out there that are there to help and support you.
Yeah, so that idea of transferable skills is so important because you might be, as a woman, you might have already had a career, you might have been at home with the children, and you're thinking,
Yes.
I haven't got any transferable skills. If you're running a home, you've got lots of transferable skills.
Right.
You're probably having to learn technology in order to work with the children. You've probably got financial planning skills. You're probably an excellent driver because you've been
Absolutely.
chauffeuring everybody about. The time management skills to get everything done, the problem solving, the planning and organization. So always do an audit of the skills and capabilities that you've got and don't underestimate them. You've probably, if you've got children, you've got good negotiation skills as well. So it's really important to think about and audit the skills that you've got and think about what you can transfer into the next thing that you want to do. So did you, once you retrained, did you go straight into setting up your own business, or did you work in another business first before you did that?
So yeah, really good question. When I left the apparel industry after being in several different big corporations there, I actually trained at Bastyr, and I went back to school in my 30s for 5 years, which talk about transferring your skill sets and not being in school for over 15 years and having to get back. And I think so many people live in fear, like, oh, I can't go back to school. Like I've just been so far removed from it. I look at like every day as school, Pat. You know, like we're learning whether we're in school taking tests and guessing what the professor's going to say. But to me, life is school every single day. So what I did was after graduating from Bastyr in 2007, I was very fortunate that Dr. James D'Adamo and Dr. Ian Beer encouraged me to become a naturopath. And they're like, you know, you're so amazing with what you do. Like, we need more great naturopaths for healing. Like, we just need you. And now that naturopaths are becoming licensed in more states, like, remember, we're only licensed in minimal states in the US, and a lot of people don't realize that. Whereas in Europe, that's more of your go-to sort of medicine. So I've done a lot of training in Germany. So let me get back on track. So what I did was I worked and oversaw with Dr. James D'Adamo and Dr. Ian Beer, their naturopathic clinic. It was Dr. James D'Adamo's naturopathic clinic, and he's the one that actually created the Live Right for Your Blood Type, Eat Right for Your Blood Type nutrition plan. So I worked with them for about a year. And again, I was always open and transparent. And I said, I'm going to be opening a clinic locally so that they knew, like, just open with your heart. Don't hide anything. I think so many people are afraid, like, I don't want to say anything, or they'll ask me to leave, or, you know, just be open. And I was completely honest. And after working with them for about 7 or 8 months, in August 2008, I opened my own clinic. So I took some of the skill sets that they taught me clinically, that Bastyr taught me clinically, because I did 2 years in the clinic at Bastyr, and I created how I wanted my clinic to look like and what I wanted my patients set up to be. And then I started calling in the patients that made sense for me, that needed my healing and my energy to support them. Is that helpful?
Yeah, really. Because, you know, these journeys, sometimes you step out from one job, retrain and set up for yourself, and that's the right part. Other times it's about gaining that experience before you actually set up on your own. So yeah, I think that is excellent. So this is Pat Duckworth, and today I'm talking with Dr. Holly Donahue. And I can hear your values around health shining through clearly, but tell us a bit more about your values and how they inform the work that you do now.
Absolutely. So I'll kind of go back a little bit into my teenage years, which form the values of why I'm so strongly believed in nutrition. I struggled for myself with depression, and I never understood why. And I love what Pat does around the menopausal piece, because that's a hormonal piece. And until I learned that my hormones were off, I had miserable cycles, miserable menses for years. My mother didn't know what to do. Back in the day, they gave you Tylenol with codeine, right? They didn't fix the problem. They didn't know how to. So I journeyed into that, struggled. Then I went into a depression with a hormone imbalance and low thyroid, and nobody could help me. And it wasn't until I met the naturopaths I just spoke about that it totally healed me. But it wasn't only the medicine I used, it was because I changed my nutrition plan. So that is such a strong value, along with mindset. Like, I knew things had to change for me in my mind, in my heart, and in my health. And I had to change how my life was set up and how I manage my life. So if we go back to skill set, it's also managing your life. Like, I know I have to meal prep on Sundays. I know I have to get really good grass-fed organic food in my house by Friday, so I can think about what my meal plan is going to be. And the other piece is love yourself, follow yourself with love, and have some sort of spirituality, higher being, religion, like whatever you want to call it, and just be grounded in who you are. So if we put all a culmination of those values together, then you're a whole person. And then you put all the other pieces there. You add in movement. Notice I don't call it exercise anymore, because when I'm at the clinic and I call it exercise, people are like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I have to spend hours doing it. But then we put in all the details, and then you can begin to heal. And don't be afraid to ask for help.
very important. In fact, I was just working with a client this morning and she was saying to me, oh, I feel like I can't do this myself. And I said, that's right, because people tell you to think outside the box, but everything you know and all your experiences are inside your box. To
Right.
think outside the box, you have to talk to somebody else and get their perspective on it. You
Right.
can't just know stuff, because everything you've done is in there. To
Right.
think outside it, you need another perspective.
Right.
Think about thinking outside the box means thinking about how somebody else might think about it.
And I love
And
when you say that. Sorry to interrupt you, because I
yeah,
have so many patients that come in the clinic and they're just like, I can't do that. I can't do what you're asking. And it's like, think for a minute. Like, I'm making a suggestion because I'm meeting you where you're at, and I know this is the support you need. So even if you do a little bit of thinking outside the box, like you're saying, like even if you stretch just a little bit, then that's going to make a difference.
and your box will get bigger.
That's right.
So
That's
you're not
right.
inside a tiny box anymore. You're pushing out the box.
That's right.
Ah, it's also
Yeah.
good. So what does success mean to you now?
So that's an interesting question. So for me, I'm going to repeat a lot, but success is really following and being grounded in like your heart, the heartbeat of who you are, and loving what you do. And if you are inside your body and doing what you love, the ceiling is just going to open up. Like the world will just open up and be ready to receive. The universe is going to give you what you are asking for. So I really believe in a lot of, like, I'll use an author here, Joe Dispenza's work. Like, imagine what you want, manifest what you want, think about what you want, think about how you want your life to be every single day, that you can wake up and have gratitude, and you can go to bed at night and be like, wow, that was such an awesome day. Especially what we're all struggling with right now
Mm.
in all the countries with the pandemic. Like, it's really making so many people stop and say, what is the meaning of my life? Have I been enjoying my life? And am I moving in the direction that I'm meant to move, so that when I pass over, like, I've journeyed on in life the way that I'm meant to journey. So I don't necessarily use the word success. We all do. But for me, success is loving yourself, knowing yourself, and waking up every morning and being like, wow, I get to live this life.
I've got to the age now, Holly, where every morning when I wake up, I put my hands on my heart and say, thank you for another day. Thank you.
Thank you that I have a breath and I can get out of bed and I can enjoy life.
I'm actually, I actually say thank you for each breath, thank you for each heartbeat. We can't afford to take them for granted, and we should be thankful for all of them.
Yeah.
If you had some special tips for new entrepreneurs, I mean, you've given some of it just in what your definition of success is, but any particular tips for new entrepreneurs?
Be patient and just know, like I was saying before, if you're living in your truth and you're organizing a new business and you know this is what you want, A, ask for help. B, don't be afraid. Like, we all have beliefs and belief systems and limits that we've put on ourselves. Try to work on letting those limits go, like fear and anxiety. And I know it's easier said than done, but I know every single one of you who want to be an entrepreneur, you've got this. You can do it. And just take one step at a time. You can't sit down and be like, I'm going to start this company and it's going to like blow up and take off. You've got tech to deal with now, like Pat and I were discussing earlier. You've got the day-to-day sales calls that you need to do. you've got so much organization, but if you just take one step at a time, that's so important. And from a healthcare sort of standpoint, because of what I do, like, be on top of your game as far as like, know your nutrition is in check, know that you're balanced in your life, and just go for it. Don't be afraid. Like, one step at a time is going to get you to your journey. Like, I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to open 3 businesses today. I started with one, which was my clinic. And then I was like, okay, people really need to reach me in other directions. So then I started with another company and I opened my online business. And the third company was a derivative of my father's entrepreneurial journey. He asked me to help somebody that was an employee to open a business and run that business. And it was just natural for all the things that my father did to help support him in that, this individual that had worked with him for 30 plus years. So what I want to say is, it's going to happen, but just be patient, just love yourself, and just wake up every morning and just decide, like, where am I going to be? What do I want to do? And what do I want my life to look like within my business, within my home, as a mom, just like, what's my vision? And follow that in your heart.
Yeah. And I think, most overnight successes took years.
Yeah.
If you think, oh, that person, they're so lucky, they have probably worked really hard for years to achieve what they did.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask you to do something, Holly. I just want you to close your eyes for a moment and picture your future stretching out ahead of you and moving out to 5 years from now. And you've been living with this natural way of looking after your health. You've been developing your business. You're getting that sense of satisfaction and achievement for the people you're serving and for yourself. What are you seeing out there at 5 years from now? What's going on with Holly at 5 years from now?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because I do that journey. And so what I really envision is being able to work with high performers and leaders in our world who are making a difference, making a contribution, and just helping, infuse their positive energy as entrepreneurs themselves, or even in corporate positions. And I am just imagining being able to heal as many people that I'm called to heal, and working with them on their health journey to become the absolute best that they want to be every single day, and to have the energy to do that with a balanced and healthy life.
I love that. I love that. That sounds like a great vision. So, people watching, if they want to find out more about you or contact you, how do they do that?
Yes, so the easy way is you can Google me, Dr. Holly Donahue, or I also have a company, Cura Naturale Therapeutic Healing, which is my clinic, curanaturale@gmail.com. Or if you're interested in doing some amazing programs that I've created, jump over to Simple Health NH, that stands for New Hampshire, simplehealthnh.com, and reach out to me from there. And I have self programs that you can actually do. And there's supplements and, protocols, and I'm constantly sending emails out. So join our email list over there, and, let the healing begin, or continue your healing. So I am here and ready to help each and every one of you as an entrepreneur. So thank you for asking that, Pat.
Well, that sounds fantastic, a fantastic offer. So go and have a look at those websites. So what have we learned today? So much, I don't even know where to start. Firstly, think about the skills that you've got. If you're starting out as an entrepreneur, don't think you're starting out with a blank sheet. Think back over what your skills are and what you can bring to what you do. And really, what do you love doing? Because you're going to have to put your heart and soul into this to be successful. It's going to be congruent with who you are. Being patient. Overnight successes might take some time to develop. So much more. Go back over this and see all the lessons that we've learned today. Thank you so much, Holly. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Pat. I so appreciate it. And it was my honor to serve your audience and, give tips of health and healing. And like I said, I'm here. So thank you so much for having me. It's so appreciative. Sending so much love to everybody in your audience.
You're really welcome. And to all of our viewers, keep watching out for more of these wonderful interviews with amazing entrepreneurs, and I'll see you next time.